Hi everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how long it took me to go from a student visa to the permanent residency PR and then finally to the Australian citizenship. So I'll share with you the timeline, how long I waited, so that you know you're not alone in this journey. Hi, I'm Sally. I moved to Australia, Melbourne in 2006 and have been living here ever since. I love my life here in Melbourne and I also got married to an ABC here. So in this channel, I'm gonna share with you my life in Melbourne and hopefully you will find something useful. So before we start, I need to declare that I'm not a migration agent and everything that I share here is just my personal experience. And also apology for my broken English. So there are subtitles here, so just in case if you can't understand what I'm saying. So let's go back to the very beginning, 2007. So from 2007 to 2013, I was on a student visa, and here's the breakdown. So in 2007, I came to Melbourne as a Year 10 international student, and from 2008 to 2009, I was studying Year 11 and Year 12 for the VCE subjects. So VCE is like the Wu Hao in Hong Kong, and that's when you get the score, we call it ATAR score, to get into the university. So in 2010, I started my 4 years bachelor degree in a university in Melbourne. And the final year of my bachelor degree also included a research project and an internship. In 2014, that's when I started working full-time. I was very lucky to get a job right away after my graduation. And that year, the job markets were pretty optimistic. And as far as I was aware of, everyone in the degree got a job in the same year. But since I was no longer studying, I could not keep using my student visa. And that's when I applied for a temporary visa. So on the 6th of March 2014, I launched an EOI, Express of Interest for subclass 489 Skilled Regional Professional Visa. Just so you guys know, this visa was replaced by another one, 491 last year. By having a quick look, they both look very similar, but correct me if I'm wrong. So 2 months later, on the 7th of May 2014, I was granted subclass 289, which means I could work and stay in Australia for the next 4 years. But I knew I wanted to live in Australia indefinitely, so I was paving my way to the PR. So in order to get the PR, you need to fit 2 criteria. So the first one is that I need to prove my 2 years residency in a designated area in Australia. So for Melbourne, you can live anywhere in Melbourne and you still fit in the criteria. Whereas in Sydney, you can't live in the metropolitan area because there are just too many people. So you have to go to maybe the countryside, the regional. The second criteria is that I have to work full-time, which is 35 hours a week for at least 1 year. So when I hit those 2 timestamps, I applied for the subclass 887 Skilled Regional Visa on the 9th of June 2016. And then 4 months later, on the 4th of October 2016, my application was pre-granted. However, I was overseas at the time, which means the immigration have to wait until I return to Australia before they can fully approve it. Anyway, my PR was granted on the 17th of November 2016, about 5 months after I launched my application. So overall, from the end of the student visa to the PR, it took almost 3 years, which was better than I expected. And then now here comes the longest waiting part, which is the citizenship. Look, the application, test and interview for the citizenship was very easy and straightforward, but the waiting time was dreadful. So I applied my citizenship a year after my PR, which was on the 19th of November 2017. And then 9 months later, on the 20th of August 2018, I went to the interview and did the citizenship test. So after talking to the interviewer, I was under the impression that the ceremony would happen in 6 months later. However, it took 14 months before I received my invitation to the ceremony. And unfortunately, again, I was overseas at the time of the ceremony, so I called the immigration to let them know. And they told me that if I don't show up to this ceremony, they would just send me another invitation to a future ceremony, which was no drama at all. On the 19th of December 2019, I attended the citizenship ceremony and I became an Aussie. So that's it for my Australian migration journey. So here's an overview of all the dates of my visa grant. So from January 2007 to January 2010, I was holding a student visa. May 2014, I was holding the TR. November 2016, I got my PR. And then December 2019, I got my citizenship. The journey felt like forever, but once I received my Australian citizenship, all of the pain, the stress, the money, the time, the effort instantly were forgotten. So if you're at the start, in the middle of the visa application journey, just so you know that you're not alone and it will be your turn and it's definitely worth the wait.